following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Hello and welcome. Welcome to the program called Ask Square along the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. And I know we're going to be in for a fun time over the next half hour because my semi-regular, and again, this is only a comment on the calendar, not on his personal habits. But anyway, a raconteur, lover of literature, lover of baseball, and all-around good man, Gabriel Schechter is here. Gabriel, how are you, sir?
I'm fine, Claire. I'm feeling especially semi-regular today.
Uh-huh. Oh, very good. Well, I don't know if we should go deeper into that or not, or just...
No.
Let's go into today's topic, which is life at the Hall of Fame. Now, last week, we talked about how bungling bureaucracy, say that fast 3 times, really, but kept you from achieving your longtime dream of employment as a researcher at the Baseball Hall of Fame. But eventually it did happen. And I want to, on this program, just, again, talk to folks about how it happened. And let's focus on, some of the really great, wonderful experiences you had in that time. So the floor is yours, sir.
Get me started. Well, I went to work there in 2002. I moved to Cooperstown in May of that year. I'd been living in California for about 7 years. And I went to Cooperstown with the intention of getting that job as a researcher in the library. I had written 2 books, and I was researching a third. I went to the library every day, spent the day there, mostly on microfilm, going through the sporting news more than anything else, and just compiling research material. But basically my purpose was to let them get to know me so that when a job opening occurred, I'd have a good shot at getting a job, and that's exactly what happened. About 6 months after I got there, one of the researchers quit, and I got the job. So this was late in 2002. I worked for 1 year at the desk downstairs, the public area of the library, helping people with scheduled research, answering the phones, emails, walk-ins, all sorts of things. After that year, I moved upstairs to an office near where all the file cabinets were. And for the rest of my time there, I worked out of that office. I would be downstairs at the desk for, between 5 and 10 hours a week, and the rest of the time upstairs. So I had a great array of experiences, which I hope to share with you in more than one half-hour podcast. Some of the opportunities and cool things that I got to do there over the course of 8 years were a chance. I would just be sitting in the spot where something came in. Some were a different kind of chance where I would be the staffer who came along when something important had to be done. There's some examples of that. And a few of them were because of who I was and what abilities I had. Let me give you an example of each. I gave tours, library tours. They were one of my favorite things to do. I had been a tour guide in college. I just liked guiding people around and showing off cool things. And giving these tours was one of my favorite things to do. I occasionally gave it to a well-known person. Keith Olbermann was one, Greg Maddox. But my favorite story has to do with 5 guys from Vermont who visited and wanted a tour. I had met one of them. And I would take the tours upstairs to the filing cabinets and show them some of the things that were in the vicinity, including all the old record books, the league records, which were in these enormous bound volumes. And I would take one and I open it up and show them where the league secretary had recorded the stats from Jackie Robinson's first day in the major leagues. That was a super cool thing that people always loved seeing.
I can just imagine. I mean, if I could interject here, I don't want to stop your momentum, but I think you share, like I do, that history with actual relics, whether it be a record book, a score book, a ticket stub, a turnstile out of a demolished ballpark. But for me, the actual relics do so much to truly bring it to life.
Oh, absolutely. The Hall of Fame's mission is threefold: to preserve history, and I'm spacing out the second one, but connect generations. And that's what nearly everything in the museum and the library do. There's something that was created a long time ago in the library, whether it's an artifact, a newspaper clipping, a scrapbook, league records, all kinds of things. Somebody sat down to record that part of history, and we get to hold it, look at it, figure it out, share it. So that's a super cool thing. So I was giving these guys the tour, and one thing I always did was I would get out a file and show them 100-year-old newspaper clippings, which, as you know, are browning and crumbling. Newspaper print newspaper deteriorates over time. So there are a lot of files at the Hall of Fame, less so all the time, that are these old clippings, and gradually they have been photocopied onto acid-free paper, and the old clippings have been tossed. So I had a favorite file that I would get out. It was Babe Adams. And it was a favorite because it was in the first cabinet. I could just grab it, and it had a nice assortment of old clippings, and I could pick one up and show them how it would crumble in my fingers. I did this.
For anybody listening, we should just remind them, probably, if you know baseball history well, you'll know the name Babe Adams. But if you don't, he had a very long and very fine career pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yes, he pitched roughly from 1908 to 1925, and in the 1909 World Series against the Tigers, Babe Adams won 3 games. So, a prominent career. So I got out the Babe Adams file and mentioned who it was, and as I did so, one of the guys said, "Isn't there some weird controversy about the year of his birth?" And I said, "I don't know, but maybe we'll find something in here." And as it happened, the first item in the file was something I had put there. And it was the little bio of Babe Adams from a volume called Dead Ball Era Stars of the National League, which the Sabres Dead Ball Era Committee put out about.
Gabriel? Gabriel, you still there? You went silent. Gabriel?
I've been talking the whole time.
About the last thing you said, I heard was Sabres Dead Ball Era Committee.
That's it.
Okay.
Sabres Dead Ball Era Committee put out this book about 15 years ago. They did one for the National League, one for the American League. I did some work on it, and I photocopied each player's bio and placed the photocopy in the file. And that was what was on top of Babe Adams' file. So I took a quick look at it, and I said, well, it says here he was born in 1883. And the guy says, I wouldn't believe it.
You're getting a little muffled, my friend. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know what to tell you. Where do you want? Is that better?
Now you're coming back in loud and clear. Okay.
So where do you want me to stop?
Oh, now you faded again. I don't know what's happening. There, you're good.
All right, we'll try here.
Right there. Okay. All right, you found the sweet spot. So the question of Babe Adams' true date of birth.
So I got out this Babe Adams article, and it says 1883, and he says, "Oh, I wouldn't believe that." And I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, I wrote it." He was messing with me, but the amazing thing, Claire, is that these two volumes had several hundred biographies. This was the only one the guy wrote, and it was the one file out of about 25,000 clippings files that I got out and opened to his article.
Uh-huh. Wow. I mean, what would the odds be? I mean, if you got an actuary, you know.
Well, 25,000 times 400 would be about 10 million to 1.
Wow. And some people say coincidences don't happen.
I know. It was just a startling moment there for me.
Yeah.
Here was my favorite thing to do when I was at the desk downstairs, and this would be pure chance, and it happened quite a bit. Somebody would come in and say, "I wonder if you could look up or maybe find a box score of the first major league game I went to." And invariably, they'd have a bunch of details, starting pitchers, of the score, the teams, the year. Somebody hit a home run, did something notable. And from those clues, thanks to Retrosheet and some other sources, I was almost always able to find the game. And I would send them out of the library with a box score printed out. They would love it. It was great. Because there's really nothing to connect you to your own history of baseball as a memento from your first game. And usually some of their memories would be wrong. They'd be off by a year. The visiting team would be different. They'd transpose pitchers or home runs or something. And, but I get it. The most accurate description I ever got, the most abundant details that were all right, was a very interesting fellow. Name was George Avakian, or Avakian, and he was one of the greatest record producers of all time. He was the man at Columbia Records in the 50s who discovered Miles Davis and all kinds of jazz people. Very well-known man. He only died a couple of years ago in his 90s. And he called one day, and I answered, and he wanted a box score from the first game he had gone to in 1929.
Wow.
This was almost 80 years earlier he had gone to this game. He remembered it was the White Sox, and that Willie Cam hit a home run, and that Benny Bengo was the catcher, and 2 or 3 other details. And he was right on the money about every one of them.
That's cool.
He remembered everything. Willie Cam had hit a home run in the 9th inning.
Wow.
That didn't change anything. So he was great. But here's the irony. Claire.
Uh-huh.
I have a very clear memory of a very clear first baseball memory, and I don't know if it was the first game, but it's the first thing I remember clearly seeing at the ballpark. And it was at the Polo Grounds when the Giants were still playing there. And I was 6 years old when they moved away. So it had to be when I was maybe 5 or 6.
Sure.
I remember the Giants playing the Reds, and the Reds were leading 3-1, and the Giants had the bases loaded, and Willie Mays hit a slicing line drive to right center, and Vada Pinson tried to make a great catch, and it went past them, rolled to the wall in right center for a triple that cleared the bases, and the Giants won 4-3.
Vivid.
I can see the ball right now getting past Pinson. All right. So, having performed this process for dozens of people over the years, I got around to my own. And you know what? Not only could I not find it, but not a single detail is verifiable. Willie Mays never hit a bases-loaded triple at the Polo Grounds, ever.
Wow.
I think he hit one in his career, and it was at Candlestick Park years later. He never drove in a run in the 2 or 3 games with the Reds that were 4-3. I wound up looking for visiting players who hit bases clearing triples. I searched every one of those details that I could, and I could not verify any one of them. Isn't that ironic?
It is. It is. I mean, it just goes to show the power, though. You look at the criminal justice system, and it is rather astonishing to see, I guess there's no really bad consequences from a bad baseball memory, but, in criminal cases, people testifying with great fervor and great conviction that something happened when, outside verifiable evidence proves that it didn't.
Yeah, those of us who do a lot of work with baseball history and read oral histories and players telling stories of long ago know that they never get more than about 2/3 of it right. They're always wrong about something, even the most memorable games of their careers. Absolutely unreliable. That's just what human memory is. I gave a tour to one of my college classmates. Here we go. And I asked him, what's the first game you remember? I'll get you the box score. And he said, it was around 1963. So I was 12 years old, and it was a Memorial Day doubleheader at Yankee Stadium, and Mickey Mantle went 5 for 5. He had 2 home runs. And I said, you got to be kidding me. That was your first baseball memory? He said, yeah. I said, well, I was there. That's one of my great baseball memories. But here's the thing. It happened in 1968. It was Mantle's last great game. He went 5 for 5 with 2 homers and a double. 5 years he was off by.
Wow.
Weird, huh? Memory.
Yes. Well, let's talk about maybe encounters with some Hall of Famers. And actually, I was at your home yesterday evening. You showed me a nice photo of yourself and your wife, Linda, with a genial-looking fellow in a Santa Claus suit. And I said, who's Santa? And your answer was?
Gaylord Perry at the annual Hall of Fame staff Christmas dinner. This was the only time they got somebody to do this. Santa showed up, unannounced and unintroduced. He was just Santa, and he made the rounds. It was during the cocktail hour before the formal dinner. And he just made the rounds and jovially introducing himself, and we chatted with him for a couple of minutes, and he was fantastic. Gaylord Perry is Santa Claus, in full regalia. And he gave a little talk during the dinner, and he was terrific, Santa Claus.
Wow. How about some other, and let's, at least for this program, keep it on the upbeat side, but members, former players who were really, truly just nice guys, great, friendly, approachable, good storytellers the types you enjoyed being around, and share some anecdotes about those, please, guys, please.
Sure. A few jump to mind. One of the things I got to do because of what I might...
Losing you again. I'm sorry.
All right.
Okay.
One of the cool things I got to do because of the work I had done before came about because I did a lot of research on relief pitching. So I was the pitching guy there. And Bruce Sutter, when he came to the Hall of Fame for his orientation, the year he got elected, 2006, I got to give him a tour, and I also got invited to his dinner that evening, along with, I think there were about 6 of us at dinner, and Sutter was terrific. And one story he passed along involves his most famous disaster, which was the game when he was with the Cardinals. They played the Cubs at Wrigley Field, and Ryne Sandberg hit 2 home runs off Sutter. One to tie the game late, and one to win the game in extra innings. And it was a game that sort of put Sandberg on the map. I think it was 1982 or 3. And here's what Sutter told us that I don't think has been published. Maybe it has. The night before that game, he got telephone death threats.
Really?
It was, it was the old, we're going to have a gun, and if you win, whatever, we're going to shoot you.
Wow.
And so that was the circumstance under which he went out to face the Cubbies that day. Mm-hmm. Scared out of his wits. Now, so Sutter was really good at dinner, and afterwards, a few of us went over to Cooleys Tavern, which is an institution in Cooperstown. It's right around the corner from the museum. It's hugely popular, and one of their popular things is called a shot ski. It's a ski with 4 shot glasses embedded in it. And you line 4 people up at the bar, and you each have a shot of whatever you want. And you bring the glasses up, and then the bartender tips the ski, and you all chug your shots at the same time. And I did that once. And that was the night, and it was an interesting quartet. Bruce Sutter, Tim Wiles, who was my boss at the Hall of Fame, the director of research, and Dale Petrosky, the president of the Hall of Fame.
Wow!
Who has to cover? How's that for a quartet? President of the Hall of Fame, Bruce Sutter, my boss, and me. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I had a shot of Jameson's for the record.
Okay, yeah, I was about to ask, so I'm glad. We probably got time for one more story in that vein, if you have one, Gabriel. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me tell you about the other fascinating dinner I got to go to, and this one honored George "Shotgun" Shuba, former Brooklyn Dodger of the Jackie Robinson era, who gave a talk at the Hall, and I was invited to dinner after with him, one of the vice presidents of the Hall, and 2 sons of Harold Parrott, the Dodgers traveling secretary and official of the same era, who wrote a book, and his 2 sons had reissued the book. So it was a great dinner. Shotgun Shuba was a character. He's about 80 years old then, selectively deaf, joking around with the waiter and everybody else, and holding court. His son was with him, and it was fantastic. After dinner, which was at the Otesaga, the big resort where the Hall of Famers stay when they come in. We did what the Hall of Famers do. We went up to the back veranda overlooking the Otsego Lake, beautiful spot, and we sat on these huge Adirondack chairs and talked for a couple of hours. Linda and I, Shuba and his son, and one of the parents were up there. Now, Shotgun Shuba is most famous in the big picture for a photograph that was taken of him in Montreal in 1946 when he and Jackie Robinson were teammates.
Yep. I'm sorry.
And it's a famous photo. Robinson hit a home run, and as he crossed home plate, Shuba reached out to shake his hand. And it was a fantastic photo, seen as symbolic of acceptance of the man integrating baseball. Well, Shuba has had a poster made of this photo, and he goes around, and as the mood strikes him, he gives people this poster. And after a couple of hours of talking, he offered us one of these posters of him shaking hands with Robinson. And we said, that's great. He said, how shall I inscribe it? And Linda and I had the same thought. One of her daughters was about 7 or 8 months pregnant and was going to have a son. They had already named it Nathaniel. And Nathaniel was a product of a racially mixed marriage.
Uh-huh.
So it seemed perfect. And George Shotgun Shuba inscribed this poster, which has sat in their living room ever since, to Nathaniel. Have a great life. Shotgun Shuba.
Yeah, I've because of the Brooklyn Dodger pages I administer on Facebook, I hear a lot from fans who had the chance to meet George Shuba, and he's just seems like universally remembered as a very nice, friendly guy. And thanks, I think, to all the romance around the Brooklyn Dodgers and the fact that he had a featured chapter in Boys of Summer, he is probably, for his era, and maybe one of the best remembered fourth outfielders, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, very nice. Gabriel, quick parting thought if you have one. Otherwise, I agree with you. We will get several good programs out of this experience.
Everybody who goes to the Hall of Fame has some kind of an encounter with baseball history. That's why people keep going there and going there time and again. It's just a place where those connections naturally happen. And I got to spend 8 or 9 years there. So that's probably how many stories I could tell you if I could dredge them all up from memory.
Okay, well, we'll look forward to future chapters. For my co-host, Gabriel Schechter, I'm Claire Hall. Thank you for listening to Claire's Corner along the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. And until next time, happy trail.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned Network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone.